everyone. Welcome to the Northern Block Podcast, the podcast where one of our teams is superior to the other. It is episode number 42. It is Wednesday, March 12th, 2025. I am your host here at Norg 97, joined with my other host, LeBlock James. LeBlock, how we doing?
Fantastic. This is also the first episode.
Yeah, I'm sure you're doing great.
The first episode of the NBP where Norg does not have a hat on.
It is actually the first episode. I like my hair today, so we're actually going to roll with it, even though I look probably gay as hell. Anyways, the reason why I led with that off the rip is because LeBlock's team, the Ottawa Senators, just beat my team, the Philadelphia Flyers. So I guess we can talk about that a little bit. Dylan Cousins with another goal since our stream on Monday. By the way, thank you to everybody who tuned in for that. All of the support we got, for people who came to follow the pod, was very nice, and we're very thankful for that. And we will continue to keep making episodes and good stuff. I don't know the next time we will be doing one of those Watch with Nordic, Nord Block Pod type of streams. But when we get to that, I'm sure we can figure out a time at some point. But yeah, thank you again for that. But Dylan Cousins, yet again another goal. Has a point per game since coming to the Ottawa Senators. But we're going to get into that very, very soon, because this is going to be our trade deadline review episode, since we haven't uploaded a pod since the trade deadline. Just things got really busy for the both of us, and we did not have time until now. So we're going to hop right into everything that has happened. Starting off with Mikko Rantanen. So Mikko Rantanen was traded to the Dallas Stars on a 50% retention, and signed an 8-year, $12 million extension with the Dallas Stars from the Carolina Hurricanes in exchange for forward Logan Stankoven, a 2026 first-round pick, a 2028 first-round pick, and a 2026 third, and a 2027 third. So, 2 firsts, 2 thirds, and Logan Stankoven going the other way to Carolina, and Mikko Rantanen is going to the Dallas Stars after only playing 13, 14 games with the Hurricanes. LeBlanc, what are your thoughts on this trade?
From whose perspective?
Let's start off with the Stars. The Hurricanes is going to be more discussion, for sure.
So, if you're the Stars, you see Mikko Rantanen on the market. Are those 2 late firsts, or that will probably end up being, going to be better than Mikko Rantanen? I probably think not.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so either, and I believe that it's the right move. Screw the future assets. Who gives a crap about that down the road? Now, it might make it harder for you to buy down the road, possibly going out and, getting other, assets to help you, at other cup years as rentals, for example. But in terms of, the long term, they weren't going to keep those picks anyways, as I just said. It's better off you just trade them now for a superstar like Rantanen. And the best part is, you're going to have him for the next 8 years.
Yeah, and the thing is, 2 firsts, you could use another. But that's Mikko Rantanen. You don't get a chance to get a guy like Mikko Rantanen in free agency or, in trade often.
Yeah, without a doubt. So, again, you have to jump on that opportunity when you took it, or when it's there. And there were plenty of other suitors that would have went out and got Rantanen had not the Stars did it, because the Leafs were in on him, the Oilers were apparently in on him, and the Stars were just a lucky team with the right amount of assets for Carolina, and they land a very good player, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he's going to do with the Stars. He's already been pretty damn good with them. I think the team around him has really worked out well. Tax-free state has worked out great there. But let's shift over to the Carolina side. I want to start off with initially the return first, and then we'll get into the Rantanen stuff as a whole. LeBlanc, how do you feel about the return, though? Because I think even though you lose the better player in the deal, it's still a pretty good return.
I'm going to say this. I think they got a better return than Colorado got for him.
Yeah, to be honest, I think too. Well, I mean, Colorado got Natchez, Drury, and a second and a fourth. Yeah. I'm pretty sure, which again is still good. But I think Carolina, they get 2 firsts. They can easily move those first round picks for other assets, and I think they will. To be honest with you, they'd be stupid.
It's going to depend on what they're moved for.
Yeah, that's really the biggest thing. Like Stankoven, NHL player, right now we know what he's gonna be. He's gonna be pretty damn good. I don't know. He's not gonna be Mikko Rantanen level good, but he's gonna be pretty damn
He'll be
good.
at his peak.
With
You can see him as a good second line center. Like he's a good he's a smaller guy, scrappy though. He does not he plays like he's 6'4".
Yeah, exactly. So I think again that it's a good ad for Carolina overall, and he wants to be there too. That's the other biggest thing and the biggest benefit. He wants to play in Carolina and be a Carolina Hurricane, unlike somebody who will not be in Rantanen. So apparently there were talks. That Rantanen literally told the Hurricanes as soon as he got there are 4 teams he would play for, and Carolina was not one of them. And apparently they knew that Rantanen wasn't going to sign there before they made the frickin' trade.
Which is kind of surprising because, if you knew he wasn't going to sign, then why not keep him for the run?
Exactly. I don't really understand why you would make that trade. It's kind of a waste of assets, to be honest with you. I mean, they made out okay, if we're being honest, because it could have been a lot worse, as we said. Like, they could have ended up with literally nothing, like they did for Jake Gensel. But still, it's not a good look in terms of the fact that, you go out and you trade for a player, you give up assets, and then you trade him literally a month and a half later. It's not a good look. They're lucky they got stuff back in return for him. Otherwise, it would have been horrible. Absolutely horrible. And it doesn't make a lot of sense. It seems like Tulsky kind of jumped the gun and kind of botched it a little bit. And again, that trade could not have happened at a worser time for the Hurricanes because the Four Nations break was right there. They went on a road trip. Rantanen didn't get to see what Carolina really was like that much.
Yeah.
And then everything just went the way it did. And they lost a lot of games while he was there as well.
Yeah, and then you have the quote from Rob Brindamore saying, I don't want to, I'm not going to sign here. I'm not going to be here. And then his agent, Mikko Rantanen's agent today actually came out and said, quote, completely misinformed about Rob Brindamore.
Yeah.
I'll read you the exact quote.
Yeah.
We have a ton of respect for Rob Brindamore, both as a player and a coach. With the situation, he's completely misinformed.
Yeah, and apparently we were hearing things about how, Brindamore plays a style that he's like a dump and chase type coach. Rantanen likes to play on the rush and hold the puck. He doesn't fit Brindamore's coaching style, and as a result, they butted heads, and that's the blunt way of saying it. I think Rantanen overall was pretty respectful about the situation. He wasn't saying in the media outright, "Oh, I want out of here. I want to leave. No, I don't like this. I want out." He wasn't being anything like that. He was being respectful, and he told the Hurricanes, "Hey, I don't want to be here.
This isn't going to work." And you look at it from a style standpoint, the way the Carolina Hurricanes play hockey does not fit the type of player that Mikko Rantanen is.
Exactly. So overall, I think it was just, if there's anybody you can blame, I'm blaming Tulsky, to be honest. Rantanen didn't want to be there, and people won't like that, but that's his opinion. You can't really change anything about that, to be honest with you. You kind of just have to accept it with what it is. And I think that overall, they're lucky they got a really good return. Otherwise, it would have been ugly. It would have been very ugly for that team.
But here's the thing, Carolina, you could Carolina got worse.
Definitely. But in terms of the right now, they're worse. But I think in the future and what moves they want to make later on, I think they will be better.
Yeah, but the thing is for Rantanen, though, Natchez, we know Natchez didn't want to be in Carolina long term. Yeah. We knew that from the start. So moving him out isn't necessarily a bad thing. You basically gave up Natchez and Drury for 2 first-round picks at the end of the day.
And Stanko. Yeah, more or less. So
that way, then yeah, but Dallas should be the Cup favorites, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think a lot of people are pointing out that Rantanen was already retained by Colorado, and now he's even more retained by the Carolina Hurricanes. He is, I believe, making, I'm trying to find his name here, this year, that can't be right. It says he's still on his 9.25.
No, I think he's making 3.5, if I'm...
Yeah, and then he got retained again, so that's not right on the cap wages thing. But like he's making less money than like Evgeny Dadonov and Matt Duchene this season against like the Stars cap, not overall. But again, it's something that is a big advantage there for the Stars. In the sense that they have him at a retained salary, that is just unreal. I'm surprised they didn't go out and make any other moves, but then again, they don't have any first round picks, so I guess it's probably
they made their moves early. Like they did the Granlund and CC trade, and I'm just trying to find Mikko Rantanen's cap hit right here. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, but overall, I think
4.6. There it is.
Yeah, so he's making pretty good pay cut there against the cap as of right now for the Stars. So you'll love to see it from there. Again, Carolina, they're lucky they got the return they did, but overall, I give the win to Dallas. 100%.
The one thing I will say, one person I really do feel bad for the situation is Sebastian Aho, because I know those two are really close, and like they're out in the off the ice, they're kind of best buds. So imagine getting like your best bud on your team, then having only stay 46 days.
And him not want to play for your team. It's just very, 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 very strange. I do want to say to the Hurricanes fans who are saying that Rantanen is overrated and that he's not a superstar and that the Stars are overrated.
Surprise at your salt.
What are we doing? Like that is coping at its finest, because the Stars really shouldn't be the people you're mad at.
Your general manager.
Yeah, neither should you be mad at. I mean, I guess you can be mad at Rantanen because he doesn't want to play there. I mean, Tulsky was the one that traded for him, and it was pretty clear that he didn't want to play there. So
as fans, here's the thing. Like, you really think, like, I'm gonna bring myself into this. You really think Sens fans are gonna be happy with DeBrincat ever? Dude didn't want to play there, and guess what? He still was getting booed last night. This is the second year away from the team.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that probably will stay forever, but it really, in the grand scheme of things, it isn't his fault.
It's not. And, like, fans are allowed to be mad at the player. You're allowed to be mad at the player for not wanting to play for your team. But at the end of the day, you can't just be throwing, like saying, oh, Manchin's overrated. Oh, no. Like, let's here are the fries with your salt. And let's please, let's tone it down, especially on Twitter. Twitter, y'all need to chill. Like,
oh, well, it's always crazy on Twitter, literally. But I also want to say that, like, 13 games out of his entire NHL career of him maybe not being the best he was, and you're going to call him overrated. Like, it's actually insane.
The best thing's going to be is when Rantanen retires, all this stuff's going to come out about what actually happened.
Oh, probably. Oh, for sure. Definitely, bro. That's definitely going to happen. All right. Let's move on from the Mikko Rantanen deal. Let's go over to Brad Marchand. Marchand was traded to the Florida Panthers along with a 50% salary retention from the Bruins in exchange for a conditional 2027 second-round pick. LeBlanc, what were your thoughts on this one? Because this one was a shell shock.
Like I said, I'm not surprised they traded Marchand. I'm surprised of who they traded him to, but we found out that it was Marchand's choice to go to Florida. That was his number one choice.
Yeah, so there were a lot of people who were like, oh my God, I can't believe Sweeney traded him to Florida. That was the destination he wanted to go to. I want to get into a little bit more after we get into the other three trades about why so many people are saying that the Bruins had a bad trade deadline. You kind of got like your hands tied here. They're lucky they got a first, to be honest, or a second, to be honest with you. It could
be a first, though.
It likely will be, barring an insane upset. It's likely gonna be a first. So again, I think that Brad Marchand going there, first off, he's gonna be getting paid 50% of what his salary is. That's insane value, honestly. Yeah, he's gonna pay just above $3 million. That is like mind-boggling to me. So that is actually crazy. And then that line of Marchand, Bennett, Tkachuk is gonna be wild.
The Rat King and the Rats.
I'm not prepared for that at all. I'm going to be honest, they might be my favorite again to win.
Yeah,
seriously.
Like coming out of the East, I will say the Panthers have a harder road than the team in the Metro, though.
Oh, 100%. I mean, if Florida ends up being the second seed, they're going to have to take on Tampa, and that is not going to be easy. I think. I mean, even if, yeah, they would either play. They're likely going to play either Tampa Bay or Ottawa right now.
Columbus,
Yeah, so at least as of right now, again, the wild card can still change. It's still up in the air, but the Sens are still kind of running away with it. But yeah, like it's going to be a harder road for Florida. I wouldn't be surprised if they get upset, just because it's the NHL and literally anything can happen. And when you have, for some reason, I have this gut feeling every year that a team is going to get upset in the first round. Like it's always the first place team too. Like when Boston was winning all that year, I was like, they're going to lose in the first round. I was like thinking that in January.
I don't think we had a big upset last year, did we?
Not really. I'm trying to think.
Usually we have like one like really big upset in the first round.
Yeah, no, because the Rangers were the President's Trophy, and they made it to the conference finals, so they weren't upset.
Carolina won theirs. Oilers won.
I guess.
Jets, I mean, but the Jets. That's not really a big upset, though.
That's not a huge upset because there were a lot of people who actually picked the Avalanche to win that series. But yeah, overall, just like I have a gut feeling that it could happen, but I don't think it's going to happen with Marchand going
Vegas
back on
almost upset Dallas.
Yeah, that wouldn't really be an upset either, though. Vegas won the cup
so it's
Again,
I think this year's the year we're going to get a lot more like we're going to get at least one big upset in the first round. I can feel it this year.
Yeah, this year's going to be crazy. We'll have to see, though, what goes on. But Marchand to the Panthers, it's a huge ad. We'll get it. I'm going to get more into Boston's return in a second here because there's so many criticism on it, but I want to go through the other two trades before we hop in. Brandon Carlo was traded to the Toronto Maple Leafs on 15% salary retained from the Bruins in exchange for Fraser Mitten, a 2026 first-round pick, and a 2025 fourth-round pick. I like this move for both teams. Toronto gets a defenseman who has been consistent throughout his career. That top four is completely locked up now of Riley, McCabe, Tanev, and Carlo. And now they don't have to really worry about that for a long time. That was something that they have been, over the years of the team, like from 2017 to, I guess, like a year or two ago. There was a lot of changes fluctuating through that blue line, and now that top four is going to stay the same for the most part. And he's retained as well, which is clutch. And then for the Bruins, they get Mitten, who I think is a little bit more overrated than Toronto fans kind of point him out to be. I think he's really only known because he's in Toronto, and then a first, which is good. What do you think?
Menzite. Like, he's not like, I wouldn't call him like an ace.
He's not special. Like, Toronto fans were making him out to be like he was going to be like a real first or second line player. I would say more second line. He could be, but I just don't know if he's like as
middle sixer, middle sixer, like second, third line. He's a good prospect. I'm not saying he's bad or anything like that, but man, Boston cooked on that one to get a first and Mitten for Carlo. And
I think the retention really made it a thing, and then the term on the deal as well really really influenced it.
What else did they get with Carlo, or did they just get the first and Mitten?
They got a fourth round pick as well.
So like
from the Lawton deal.
That's honestly great value.
It is. Yeah, I think overall, again, it was a seller's market, and the fact that a lot of these, they were going to get a good return anyways if they were going to move on from him, but it sounded like they were keeping him a couple of days ago, and then all of a sudden, nope, they're going to trade him right at 301. So I think that it's a good move for both sides. I like Carlo on the Maple Leafs. It felt pretty weird seeing him in a Maple Leafs jersey on Friday or Saturday, but yeah, I thought that was a pretty good trade too. And then the other one, before I get in my little Boston Bruins rant, Charlie Coyle was traded to the Avalanche along with a 2026 fifth round pick for Casey Middlestat, Will Zellers and a 2025 second-round pick from Carolina. That pick was acquired in the Rantanen deal a couple weeks ago. I'll let you go with this one. LeBlanc, what do you think about the Coyle trade?
Like, William Zellers, he's got some potential in him. I really do like William Zellers. Second round pick, perfect. And you get a guy struggling in a situation in Casey Middlestat you can bring onto your team right now. And he's way younger than Coyle. And, it's like that's a great trade for Boston. Like I know we're gonna. That's the last Boston trade we're gonna talk about, right?
Yeah. Yes, I'm about to get into my little rant in a second.
Bruins fans want Don Sweeney Mussolini'd outside TD Garden. You don't know what Mussolini is? Look it up.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me hop in here because this is something that I have been thinking about the last couple of days. I made a TikTok on it today. It really didn't go that viral, so I'm going to talk about it on the pod because I think that a lot of people don't realize what the Bruins did and that it was pretty damn good management. First off, I'll start off with this trade. They trade Coyle away, who's a third-line center, to the Avalanche. They get Middlestat, who is younger. I think he's on a better contract, and he still has the potential to, turn his career around. Will Zellers is an 18-year-old kid leading the United States Hockey League in goals, and then a second-round pick. That is very good management there by Boston, trading a third-line center for a second and a pretty solid and pretty good prospect. And then the Carlo deal. They trade away a defenseman with term on retention for not a top prospect, but still a pretty damn good prospect, better than what they had going on there. A first-round pick, which, again, I've seen some people say, it's going to be a really bad first. It's still a first, and next year's draft is going to be stacked from what we're seeing, and then a fourth as well. And then the Marchand deal, and this is the one that pisses me off the most. Look, I get it. You're frustrated that your captain went to a franchise that literally owns you. I understand that. Here's the thing, though. Marchand wanted to go to Florida. That immediately doesn't make your assets or your return as good as it would be. Florida has literally no assets. That also doesn't make your return as good as it's going to be. And Marchand has an injury. That doesn't make it as good as it's going to be. And they still got a second-round pick that is probably, most likely, going to turn into a first-round pick. And I've seen all these people say, oh my God, Sweeney got fleeced, he needs to be fired. Look, I am not a fan of Don Sweeney. I think at the beginning of the season, it was all his fault. Everything that has gone on this year has been all on him, with the Swayman things, with firing Montgomery, with some of the things we've heard in the media and the contract negotiations. It's all his fault. And if David Pastrnak goes into that office in the summer and says, I want out, that is on him too, and he should be fired. However, he had a pretty damn good deadline in this year. Let me provide an example for you. Patrick Kane, in 2023, remember when the Blackhawks were bad? Remember when they were really bad in that year and they were finally like, yeah, we're going to tank it down? Kane was one of the guys who was most likely going to get traded. And you know what they asked him? They asked him, where do you want to go? He said the Rangers. They didn't get a first. They got a second, a third, which turned into randos. Random guys. Yeah. And, sorry, let me keep going here. The Bruins are lucky, and the Bruins basically got a first for Marchand when Patrick fucking Kane didn't. You're going to sit here and say that, look, I get it. I understand, it hurts. It definitely hurts from a fan perspective. But in the business standpoint, this shit needed to happen. And I feel like a lot of people are just like, we hate the deadline. We hate what the Bruins did because we hate Boston. Oh, they traded away Marchand for a conditional second. That's terrible. First off, again, as I said, he's injured. He wanted to go to Florida, and Florida has literally no assets. What the hell do you expect? Literally people are hating on this deadline just because they don't like Boston. The Bruins really shaped themselves for a pretty damn good future moving forward. Yeah, they're going to retool probably the next year and the year after that and maybe the year after that. We'll have to see where they go from here. But I think overall, they put themselves in a pretty damn good spot. Would you rather them just keep everyone and just keep going with this and just not have a good prospect pool? And you know what? Screw it. If you're going to keep everyone, why not buy? Go trade your first for Brock Nelson. The fuck are we doing, people? They had a good deadline.
Great deadline. And
like, how are you going to sit here and say that, they didn't do it right. They didn't get enough back in return.
I'm going to say...
they're doing way better than half the teams that sold it.
I'm going to... I want to speak now.
They were the best seller, without a doubt.
So, even if Marchand didn't want to go to Florida, there's no other team on the market that was going to give you a conditional second for Brad Marchand. There's no other team I could think of that was willingly going to give even a first for Brad Marchand. Like Nordic said, injury.
Well, it is a seller's market. I think it's possible,
but
you're right.
You consider the injury and you consider how old Marchand is.
Yeah, they were already in a fucked up situation. Like, he's a rental, too. You're not going to get...
Yeah, so the Bruins' future, beginning of the year, Bruins' future, we're talking about that being one of the bleakest futures in the NHL.
Literally none. Their prospect pool is dry. I made the joke on the Nordcast that it's literally just a pool of... It's a pool with no water in it. It's literally dried out.
But now, since you trade away all these guys, you have to bring up the youth. You finally have youth in the lineup, and that's what Boston fans have been just calling for years. Get the youth up, and they finally have the youth up. And guess what? Since the deadline, I'm pretty sure they're undefeated.
Yeah, they're either undefeated or they're definitely above 500 for sure. Like, they have guys like Marat Kuznetsov in the lineup who they traded for. They got Vinny Lettieri playing top 6 minutes. They got Cole Koepke also playing top 6 minutes. They got Beecher permanently up there. Still, like, again, like, I get it. I get it, the fact that, it sucks. It sucks that after 10 years of, being good, you have to actually sell for one season out of, 50. But it's gonna it was gonna happen, and the fact that people I feel like it's all just because people hate Boston. It's so forced.
And
it's insane.
The thing is, I'm so glad the Bruins didn't buy, because then they would be, who buys every year and it doesn't work? The Islanders.
Yeah, and you know what the Islanders did? They sold.
Yeah, they knew, Lou knew it was time to sell. GMs know when it's time, and the GMs that just hang on to grasping at straws, those are the GMs that get fired, or they don't last long. I'm going to give an example. Kyle Dubas, a year and a half ago, bought at the deadline for Pittsburgh.
Yep.
I think he did it 2 years in a row, and guess what? They missed the playoffs both times.
Yeah, you're right.
So that's an example of you need to learn when to give it up. And Sweeney, you get assets for the future. You get young players into the lineup. I don't understand the whole anger of Bruins fans how Don Sweeney must be tried for his war crimes. Yes, Sweeney did a horrible job in signings last summer. This is not something to get mad at him for. This is something to be thankful for him for. You finally have assets. You can go retool. You can either use the picks or trade them for high or impact players right now. They will retool in this summer, and maybe the next summer. We might see a period of time where Boston's make the playoffs this year or next year.
I'm also not saying that Sweeney is a god now. I'm not saying that at all. I still blame him for everything that has happened this year. I think it all stems from Jeremy Swayman at the beginning of the season. We sat here in both where you're sitting and where I'm sitting right now and talked about it in September and how it is not good for a goalie to miss training camp. What has been one of Boston's biggest problems this year? Swayman's inconsistencies. He hasn't been just outright bad this year, but I'm going to be blunt. He hasn't been Swayman. He hasn't been the regular Swayman he's been. You look at his career stats. Again, he hasn't played a ton. And, I mean, you look at his numbers when he goes to training camp. Funny enough, it's above a .900 every single time. I don't know what his stats are, to be honest with you. But overall, you really think that just this 1 year out of all of it is the reason, yeah, he's just having a shit year. Like, no, it's because he missed training camp. And goalies can't miss training camp. And you know whose fault that is? Don fucking Sweeney. Because he had like a disagreement over what, 700 grand a year? Again, like I could not be a bigger Don Sweeney hater than a lot of other people may be, but I think he did good this deadline. And I think the unfortunate part, and I said the same thing with Lou Lamoriello. It might have not Lou Lamoriello, Ron Francis. It might have damn well saved his job. Because I think if he didn't do anything, he would have got fired.
Yeah.
Seriously. If he kept everybody, he would have gotten fired. Honestly. I think Jacobs would have had enough.
Yeah, and I'm going to say this right now. Like, Don Sweeney is still on the hot seat.
Like, yeah, that hasn't changed at all. He's still on the hot seat.
He's seen in a better light now, but the seat is still hot to the touch.
Yeah, just seeing how he handled the Marchand contract negotiations and the Swayman negotiations and a few other guys. I don't know. And maybe seeing that the Bruins are going to be going into a retool and a lull for the next couple of years. Again, as I said, I wonder if Pasternak's going to be like, I want out. And you know whose fault that will be?
Sweeney's.
Guys sitting in the GM box. And it all stems from Swayman. I think that's where it really all started this year. It's been such a drama-filled year for Boston. I think if you have Sweeney signed and ready to go for the regular season, we may not even be talking about this now.
We're not, and
maybe,
but like that, like even before the season, like that team is old. That team was old.
Yeah, but a big part of why they really were good last year was Swayman. Yes. So that's why I'm saying that in a way. Like if Swayman went back to his regular form this year, I think they're definitely a better team than they are right now. No doubt. Because again, like even at points this year, he has been good, but he's been a step behind everybody. Just a way of saying it. And again, it's just been something that I've been following the entire year. I think everything that Sweeney has done is bad. Firing Montgomery was the wrong move. We sat on this same couch or chair or whatever you're sitting on and said the same thing. Everything comes back to him. And we're finally giving him credit here. So let's stop about Boston because I can't.
We went on a little bit of a tangent there, so let's just.
It just really frustrates me at how people are like, oh my god, oh yeah, the Bruins had a bad deadline. It's just casuals who don't watch hockey. Like, and I know I shouldn't be talking, but like, come on. All right, let's move on from that. Scott Lawton was traded to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Let's move on to more heartbreak. 50% salary retained, along with a fourth, which they traded over to Boston, and then a 2027 sixth from the Flyers in exchange for a 2027 conditional first and forward Nikita Grabankin. So let's start off on the Flyers end of things, because we do have more to go into with Toronto, involving the fact that they don't have any future assets for the next 3 years, and I think it's worth talking about. But Philadelphia gets a first-round pick in 2027, and Nikita Grabankin, who is back check, forecheck, paycheck. And I'm not going to lie to you, I could not be happier that Nikita Grabankin is a Philadelphia Flyer.
Grabankin he's funny. Grabankin has his flaws that can be fixed with coaching. I say it like this, as Grabankin's skating isn't of NHL level, but you can fix that with coaching, though. He's still a good prospect for the Maple Leafs. Did they get a first for Lawton? Yeah,
they did.
I try to pull up the trade here. Here it is. Yeah, so they got a first round pick and Grabankin. It's conditional. Look, the condition is that it's top 10 protected. So I always say, just because it says conditional doesn't mean it's not good. Like back in the day, conditional meant if the condition wasn't met, you don't get it. Now it's
if the condition isn't met, you still get it. It's just it's a little.
So now, if let's say Toronto's a bad year in 27, like a really bad year, then that pick, they would get the following year's pick.
But it'd be unprotected.
Yes. So that's where it all comes in.
If you had the year after that, yeah. I mean, to be honest, you really don't know where the Maple Leafs are going to be in 2027. I would imagine they'd be good, but we said the same thing about the Bruins apparently, and they're not good. So I don't know. But I think again, it's good for Philadelphia. You needed to move Lawton. That was the blunt way of thinking. I would have been very mad if they kept Lawton through the deadline. And I think overall it's good on them getting a first and solid prospect who probably will be like a third line player, but still good. Getting a guy like that,
It's good value for the Flyers, and then you get like I'm gonna be very blunt. This Scott Laughton should not have gotten a first round pick, but he got a first round pick.
Oh, I know. I love Laughton. I'm gonna miss Laughton, but he was definitely not awarded of a first. I 100% agree.
Yeah,
with
and
that.
then he for Toronto, he's got terms, so you got him next year too.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably why he got a first, and that's why a lot of other players got a first round pick.
Big moves, they both have term, right? I think Carlos. Yeah, they have Carlo for next year too.
Right. Yeah. All right. So let's evaluate this a little bit. The Maple Leafs have no first this year, no first next year, no first in 2027. They do have a second this year, but it's not their own. They don't have a second next year. They have a third, but it's not their own. They don't have a fourth this year. They really traded away a lot of their assets along with Fraser Minnitt, who was ranked as a pretty good prospect with the Maple Leafs, probably the second best prospect, and then Grabankin, who was probably the third or fourth best. They now have essentially no future assets in the Maple Leafs right now. Yeah, you have seconds and thirds, but nothing that's really big or anything. You have Easton Cowan, and that's pretty much in the prospect realm of things. And now they have Scott Laughton as their third line center and Brandon Carlo as one of their top four defensemen, the show of it. What do you think about what the Maple Leafs did this deadline?
With the Maple Leafs, I think the biggest criticism of the Maple Leafs was they didn't really go for it. Like, they didn't use... Because, they used first on guys like Nick Foligno. But we're not going to talk about that. But the guys they use first on are, actually, better players than Nick Foligno. No offense to Nick Foligno. But...
Well, no doubt.
Because one of the first you don't have is because you want to get rid of Mraz's contract, I'm pretty sure.
No, the other first is that they traded for Jake McCabe.
Yes, Jake McCabe. Sorry, I'm thinking of a different trade.
So the one first was for McCabe, the one first was for Carlo, and the other was for Laughton.
When I evaluate that, do those guys equal 3 first-round picks? My answer, I kind of want to say, they all had term, so I want to say maybe. I'm not going to say yes or no, but maybe.
I think Laughton, no. Carlo with the term, probably, yeah. Laughton, probably not.
I don't think so.
At the time, McCabe, no. But he's actually been pretty decent this year.
His contract's aging very well, so...
Yeah, so I would say right now, yeah, but at the time, probably not.
This is peak. This is what your team is. You're not going to get any worse.
Yep.
At least this year, you're not going to get any worse or better. Next year, you need to sign Marner. If you don't sign Marner and he walks, that's a big problem. I feel he will stay. But this is, now that you have the only person you have coming up is Easton Cowan. Unless I'm forgetting some big Leaf prospect that I am not aware of. But he's the only one.
And Danford, they picked him last year.
Danford's more of a defensive defenseman, so I could see him maybe cracking the lineup in two years. But
yeah, I'm looking at their names. They don't really have anybody that is notable.
Cowan's the only guy you have coming up the pipeline. So in the next, you're not gonna have a first until 2028.
Which they've proven. I will say this though, they have proven before that they will go out and get first in trades. They have proven to do that before, like with Danford, and I think Cowan too. Like they traded for those picks from other teams. So I think that it's definitely they may still pick in the first round before then because Toronto, they always seem to find a way into the first round. But overall, I think that for the Leafs, it's definitely they're not going to be getting a lot of really good prospects added to that pool the next.
And I will say, Brad Treliving with the Calgary Flames was criticized heavily for being too conservative. Does this look like conservatism to you?
This is definitely not conservative because he went all freaking in this year. All in for this team, and better hope they win. Better hope they don't lose in the first round because I think we might actually see some real changes. I think we might actually see it. Marner's coming off the books. I wonder what they'll do. Tavares as well.
This is cup or bust.
It low key is. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. If they get to like the third round, if they show real progress, then maybe not, because they'll still have relatively the same team next year. You'll have Marner coming back, or you'll have everybody coming back. You have to sign Marner and Tavares. Apart from that, everybody's there, and then Nyes you have to sign to a contract too. The other guys you can kind of be like, they're fine, get rid of them. But overall, it really is a cover bust year. To be honest, they have to show some progress.
Like
or
third
else.
rounder bust. Like I'm gonna like.
Yeah.
You need to show at least. You need to at least get to the third round if you're Toronto.
Progression. You need
progression, exactly. And this, I want to say this: the Atlantic is, and the Atlantic is such a tough sort of a division. It's like the past. Whoever comes out of the Atlantic, like you're going to be so dog tired by the third round.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, because you have to play one of Tampa Bay or Florida or Toronto in the first round. You have to play one of Tampa Bay or Toronto in the first round. And then you likely are going to have to play Florida or Ottawa. Like, again, that's not easy either with the way Ottawa's playing this season. And then you get to the third round, you're probably playing what? Carolina? Washington?
Yeah, I would, Carol. Even New Jersey. I know New Jersey's depleted, but, like, I've seen crazier things.
Yeah, exactly. And to be honest with you, seeing how the Leafs played on Wednesday against the Golden Knights and on Saturday against the Avalanche, we did that stream on the Watch with Nordic, and then last night against Utah, which I watched a little bit of that game after we were done with our stream, LeBlanc. They were up 3-0, and literally before I laid down in my bed after I was done with graphics, they were tied 3-3.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the things with Toronto, I feel like a lot of it is just mental. Do you feel like that?
It's gotta be, yeah. It's a mentality. I think honestly, like I think they have hired a sports psychologist, and that is a thing. Teams have those.
Yeah.
That it's gotta be a mental thing. But I trust Berube. I trust Berube's pedigree.
Yeah.
And I do want to say, like on Saturday, that was the first time in a long time. On a Saturday night, I went to the Sens game in the morning. In the afternoon, so I had to sit down in my bed and actually watch a full night of Saturday Night Hockey. That wasn't my own team, and I did not like the way the Leafs started hot. Leafs started hot. They didn't have a lot of possession time in that game against the Avs, but they were getting goals. I did not like the way the game progressed for the Leafs. I did not like the way they entered the second or the third period.
Yeah. So again, like. I'm glad I'm not the only one thinking that, because I've been thinking that a lot, especially after that game against the Avalanche. Like they bring in all these. This has been going on for how long? Like we're coming on like 8 or 9 or 10 years at this point. We're like we've had this issue with the Maple Leafs.
Ninth year because the year. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't count the first year they went and made the playoffs because they were a surprise entry. They made it on like the last day of the year.
Well, yeah, of it being like a whole, yeah. But I feel like they brought in so many different players. Like, when do you realize like it might be just a mental thing with this core and they might not be able to do it? Like, I feel like this year, I feel like it has to be the year. It has to be. We said it last year, but like I feel like this year it
has to be. I'm going to ask you this right now: if they play Tampa first round, who would you take right now?
I'm going to say the thing that Maple Leafs fans hate. I think it goes 7. Like, I don't know. Like, if Vasilevsky is Vasilevsky, the only reason why they beat Tampa in 2023 was because Vasilevsky wasn't Vasilevsky. If Vazzy's Vazzy...
Past two playoffs, Vazzy's been off, though.
The hard truth is... They need to like learn how to score in the playoffs.
They're big guy, and I think they've heard it so many times. The big dogs need to show up.
It's not even it is a part of it is the big dogs, but a big thing is like they don't score. I don't think they've scored more than 3 goals in a playoff series game since I think the Tampa series in 2023, yeah. And that's a while ago. Like that's a long time ago. Like I don't think they've scored more than 3 goals in a playoff series since then. That is like
That's crazy.
How insane is that? That is like
For a team that's known
unfathomable.
for being a high-scoring team, too.
Yeah, just the playoff scoring hasn't been there. It's something that needs to be changed. But enough with Toronto. We can get into all of that next episode because I did want to talk about Mitch Marner, but we do need to move it along here because we're already rolling up on 45 minutes. Let's hop into, I don't know what I had next. Let's hop into Brock Nelson. Brock Nelson wasn't traded on deadline day, but basically the night before. Also, LeBlanc, I forgot to mention Jake Walman right after Nelson. I missed out with the Nordcast. I want to mention it in here. But anyways, Nelson was traded to the Islander or the Avalanche at 50% salary retained, along with William Dufour from the New York Islanders in exchange for Callum Ritchie, Oliver Shillington, a 2026 conditional first-round pick, and a 2028 conditional third-round pick. I love this deal for the Islanders. I'm going to be blunt.
Got the best. They got. First of all, they got where Nelson wanted to go, and they got a really good deal. Like, they got a first. You get a top 50 prospect in Callum Ritchie. And
yep.
I mean, Shillington got flipped to the Ducks, so that doesn't really matter. But and you get a third, so that is great for the Islanders.
It's really good. I mean, you get a first-round pick, which, again, as I said, it might not be a high first-round pick, but next year is a stacked.
It's this year's draft is weak, and that's why we saw a lot of 2025 picks get moved.
Of course, it's the 1 year the Flyers have like 3 first-round picks. Anyways,
but like next year's draft is going to be stacked. You're going to see some teams maybe be reluctant to move those picks.
Yeah, just because of how really stacked it's going to be next year. And getting a first right now is insanely clutch. And it's top 10 protected too, so it's not even like there's any other conditions on it. It's you're likely going to have it more or less, unless if we see a massive fallout. And then you get Callum Ritchie, who I think Ritchie, from what I've heard on social media, like he's a really night and day prospect. Apparently, there are some people that love him. There are some people that do not like him. I lie in the middle. I think he is a top 25, maybe 30 prospect, maybe even better than that, to be honest with you. But I think that he still is a very elite, underrated prospect, and it definitely makes the Islanders prospect pool better than it once was. Not a doubt. Cole Yzerman and Callum Ritchie in less than 2 months and getting whatever they're going to get next, or less than 2 months, less than 12 months, and whatever they're going to get in the draft with another probably top 10 pick. I don't know. Lamoriello might save his job there too. Like, again, like the GMs who we've been saying have been on the hot seat, low-key might have saved their jobs for the next couple of months.
The seat gets hot, that's when the cooking starts.
Exactly. So, yeah, good on you for that. But now Nelson going to Colorado, I like that a lot. 50% retained as well. I do wonder if they'll try and sign him, though. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely.
It's just
I feel like Brock Nelson is I don't see him going back to the Islanders. I think he's going to go wherever's going to give him the biggest bag. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, if Colorado can't sign him, he might be the number 1 free agent unless Marner is unsigned by then. But I totally agree with that. Yeah, I like the Nelson deal a lot. I think that overall, both teams made up pretty good. I'm not saying that the Avalanche lost that deal by any means. They definitely won it. But overall, I think that in terms of asset management, it was pretty damn good by the Islanders. And again, that was a team where, like Boston, you usually don't see them sell, but they actually decided to sell. I think for the first time ever since I started making videos, the Islanders actually sold somebody. So shocking, to be honest with you. But yeah, let's move on to Jake Walman. Jake Walman was acquired by the Edmonton Oilers from the San Jose Sharks for Carl Berglund and a 2026 conditional first-round pick. So basically, the Sharks got a second, a first, and Carl Berglund for Jake Walman. LeBlanc, what are your thoughts on this one?
San Jose.
I don't mean to open the salt for Toronto, or Detroit, by the way.
Mike Greer might be the new Steve Yzerman. I feel like this is great asset management by the San Jose Sharks. First of all, you get that trade from Detroit, which even Detroit fans are like, what the hell was that?
They're definitely
You turn
something
Jake
behind the scenes
Walman.
there.
You got a second for Jake Walman with him from Detroit, and you turn him into a first. And Carl Berglund, who's not I would say he's more of like a B minus prospect.
B minus, C plus. He's not
like
big.
he's still a decent prospect. So you get first B minus prospect and a second for Jake Walman. Great asset management by Mike Grier. And Mike Grier, I will say, we'll have some other trades to happen, but I think Mike Grier also had a very good deadline.
I agree. The Luke Cunningham one was pretty good, getting back like a third. The Zetterlund deal, which we'll get into here in a little bit, I thought was pretty good as well. Overall, I think that the moves that the San Jose Sharks made were pretty good. Now, I want to get into the Oilers in a second, but I do want to ask you something, LeBlanc. The Sharks have been selling for the last 2 trade deadlines. Their future looks absolutely loaded with 2 firsts this year, 2 seconds this year, 2 firsts next year, and 2 seconds next year as well. Do you wonder, like, maybe the Sharks get to the point where they have too many bodies down below in the pool, too many players? Do you wonder if they might trade some of these guys for roster players to help them win
I don't
now?
think it's going to happen this upcoming summer. You could see it.
I'm not saying.
I would say maybe the following summer, though.
One thing that I'm curious about is, like, he keeps selling. Like, he's been selling like crazy, getting all these first-round picks and all that. I wonder when he's going to start really trying to rebuild the team.
I do want to say, I think a lot of GMs, especially like first-time GMs, they kind of go into like, oh, right, we rebuilt, and then they try to come out of it too early. How do I know this? I know this from experience.
Well, the difference between you and San Jose is that they got a first overall pick.
Yeah.
You, Detroit, amongst other teams, didn't get a first overall pick. And I think getting Celebrini has really changed everything and has kind of sped up this rebuild a little bit here for the Sharks, possibly. I'm just wondering, like, it's something that I was thinking about, like, he's been selling so much. I just wonder when he's going to start actually rebuilding and, you know, like, keeping on permanent assets there. So that was something that I was really curious about. But going back to the Oilers, they get Walman, which, again, you needed a right-handed defenseman. He's not right-handed, but he still has term. He's pretty cheap. I think it's still a good move for Edmonton. Again, I would rather them do more, but I didn't think they were bad in this deal.
Oilers. The Oilers are. I think they overpaid a little bit, just a little bit. Jake Walman, I was talking about. I don't know what the fit. I thought it was a great fit. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think it looks like a great fit so far.
It does, but it wasn't what it really wasn't what I was expecting. I was expecting a defensive right-handed defender because they need more of those on the other side rather than a left-handed guy. But I'm not saying it's bad.
Is still kind of a defensive right-hander.
Yeah, in a way. He's left-handed though. He's definitely not right-handed. He's left-handed. But overall, I think that it's a good move for both teams. I'm not saying that the Oilers did bad here, but yeah. Is that all you got with Walman?
Yeah, Walman looks like a good fit for the Oilers. And they have him the following year too.
Indeed, yeah. So again, good management there by the Sharks and the Oilers. All right, I've made you wait long enough. You waited almost an hour. Let's get into your sends. They acquired Dylan Cousins, Dennis Gilbert, a 2026 second-round pick from the Buffalo Sabres in exchange for Josh Norris and Jacob Bernard Docker. LeBlanc, I'm going to roll it right to you. What are your thoughts on this one?
So, what are my thoughts when the trade happened, or what are my thoughts right now, right in this very moment?
Both.
So, when I heard Dylan Cousins was coming to Ottawa, I was very confused. I was very... because it happened as soon as I woke up. Like, as soon as I woke up, I look at my phone, it's blank, I put it down, I go to brush my teeth, do my morning prep. I come back, I look at my phone. Hearing Dylan Cousins in the sense, like, what?
I also texted LeBlanc. I'm like, LeBlanc, get your ass up. Cousins to the Sens.
It was very confusing me. But the one thing I said the night before, in our Sens chat, there was 2 things that connected. Because there was something like Ottawa's working on something big. her. And then the other night we got another text saying Buffalo's working on something bigger. So we kind of connected the dots. You're like, maybe there's a Buffalo-Ottawa trade in the mix. And I said, I don't know what it'd be for, though, unless Norris is going to Buffalo. And then turns out Norris is going to Buffalo.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't want to say I called it, but, like, I kind of, like... Because I thought if Norris is going to Buffalo, I thought maybe we're getting, like, Paterka or... Like, there's no way we're getting Tage. There's no way we're...
Well, yeah, because we heard Paterka's name the night before.
Yeah, I thought maybe it would be like Paterka and Byron for Norris, but like Dylan Cousins, I didn't think we were going to be a fit for Dylan Cousins. I didn't think we were be one because I didn't think we had the assets for Dylan Cousins.
Yeah, I'm surprised that you got it done before Detroit did because Detroit was really engaged,
and like that was the rumors from like good sources. Like Detroit was in on that.
Yeah, exactly.
Buffalo, Kevin Adams made it be very clear that he did not want picks.
Yeah, he didn't want picks. He wanted roster players. He didn't want future assets. He wants players that can impact the team right now because he was done trying to build for the future. And I give him praise for that. I totally understand.
And like this is when people say like we need a hockey trade. That's a hockey trade.
Yeah, I again like that is a deal that doesn't involve any draft picks except for that second round pick. I need to drink some water. I have the hiccups right now. But I like again, it's a deal. It's a deal that I think the Senators win because I'm going to be honest with you. I prefer a struggling Dylan Cousins over an injured Josh Norris, in my opinion. I'm going to grab water real quick.
We like I think we talked about this off camera where we said Dylan Cousins, a guy who really needed to change his scenery. Because Buffalo, like 2 years ago, he had 30 goals. And so far in Ottawa, he's a point-per-game player in Ottawa right now. He really is, like, it's just change of scenery is really, like, light up. And you hear him speak about being in Ottawa, and in his voice, you hear how giddy he is. You hear how happy he is to be in Ottawa. And it's crazy. But, like, at the end of the day, Josh Norris could not stay healthy. End of the day. Josh Norris' shoulder was a big concern. End of the day, Josh Norris makes too much money.
And you made it clear that you're going to miss Norris a lot.
He was a fan favorite here. Everybody loved Josh Norris. His nickname here was Noof. Yeah, so everyone's going to miss Noof. Like, everybody, like, when I'm going to try and get tickets to the game where he comes back to Ottawa, because Buffalo does come to Ottawa one more time this year. Oh, no, they haven't even been here yet. So, yeah, they come to Ottawa 2 more times. So I'm going to try and get tickets to the game he comes back.
Yeah.
JVD, a guy, and let's put JVD real quick. JVD, a guy, I thought he looked good with Ottawa when he was given an opportunity, but Martin Paolo played his way. Martin Paolo basically took his job. So,
well, the Four Nations played a big factor in that.
Even before the Four Nations, though, like he kind of had.
Yeah, he played games,
and then JVD got hurt.
Yeah,
and I think he's going to get a better opportunity in Buffalo.
Oh, 100%. I think Ottawa's blue line's kind of already sold out. So overall, I think that it is a good it's a good move for the Sens. I really like it, and how Cousins has been so far with the team. I think is a point per game. Scored tonight against the Flyers and scored on Monday against the Red Wings. So he's making an impact here so far early with the Sabres, with the Senators. And so is Norris. Norris had an assist again with Thompson.
Yeah, I saw a play. He stripped Bouchard of the puck, and then he got a nice speed. And then,
that's not hard.
And then Tage had a beautiful goal.
Yeah. So again, I think maybe this is an instance where we see it work out for both teams, but I think Ottawa gets the better half of the deal, in my opinion.
If Norris can stay healthy, I think Buffalo might have a 30 goal scorer on their hands.
Absolutely.
I'm going to say 40 because I don't think he's ever going to put up the numbers he put up 4 years ago.
We'll see. We will see. Anything's possible. And then the other trade that the Senators made, and this one dropped 27 seconds before the deadline. Fabian Zetterlund Tristan Robbins and a 2025 fourth-round pick were traded to the Sens from the Sharks in exchange for Zach Ostapchuk, Noah Gregor, and a 2025 second-round pick. LeBlanc, I still love the hiccups. What are your thoughts on this one?
I'll miss Ostapchuk. Ostapchuk was like, I'll get that on a minute, but Ostapchuk was like the one saving grace from the horrid 2021 draft class. If you know if you're a Sens fan, you know 2021 draft class, it's probably the worst draft class we've ever had in franchise history.
Tyler Boucher.
Yeah. Ostapchuk was the one saving grace. And
at least
they moved him, and I feel like he'll get a great opportunity in San Jose to be a player. He did play for Ottawa a little bit this year. I think he played 30? I think he played like 25 games of us this year. He had one goal.
Yeah.
I thought he looked pretty solid. I understand why they moved on from him. You get a guy, Fabian Zetterlund, I feel like Fabian Zetterlund will be a better player than Ostapchuk at his prime. You get Noah Gregor, good fourth liner for us. Miss him. I thought he did very well for the role he was given to us. And here's the thing. I don't know if you know this, but San Jose originally asked for Josh Norris.
Ooh, I did not know that.
I did not know that. So they originally asked for Josh Norris, and the Sens kind of tried to persuade them away. And then when they dealt Josh Norris, San Jose had to pivot.
Okay. Yeah.
Sharks fans are giving Greer a really hard time over this trade.
A lot of it is because Zetterlund wasn't doing good with the contract talks, apparently, what was going on.
And I know Zetterlund was a fan favorite.
He was like there since coming from the Timo Meier trade.
I've been on a lot of Sharks page, and they're like, why?
Yeah, it was a little bit surprising too when I saw Zetterlund to Ottawa. I was
shocked too. I didn't expect it wasn't not a name I was expecting at all. But yeah, I would say the one comment on one of those pages that really got me was, "You are responsible for my daughter's first heartbreak." I'm like, damn.
Wow.
But yeah, Zetterlund, good 5-on-5 scorer. Ottawa's right now is integrated into the lineup. I feel like once he gets it going, we'll see him higher up in the lineup. Right now, he's on the fourth line for us. I really do like the trade because you have him on team control. Ottawa, the two moves Ottawa made, these are moves for the long term. These are not moves. These are not rental. That's the one thing I love about both these deals. These are long-term moves.
Yeah, they are. So I think that I didn't say my 2 cents, so let me hop in there. They get Zetterlund, good middle six player. He played on the fourth line, I think, against Detroit. What was he on tonight?
Fourth line again.
Okay, so he's probably going to be that in Ottawa, unfortunately. But he was on the second power play unit. He looked solid. He actually had some good chances against Detroit. I couldn't watch tonight against Philly. Blackout. Thanks, ESPN. And then Tristan Robbins, too. Not a bad asset. C-level, B-level prospect. And then a fourth-round pick. Ostapchuk going the other way. I like Ostapchuk. Was probably, for a long time, he was like the Sens' best forward prospect. Before Yakimchuk came in and all that, he was their best guy. Now I think it goes to probably Stephen Halliday. But overall, I think that the Sens probably will win this deal. But now they have players to sign. Zetterlund is expiring, as we said, and we'll see if they are going to be able to keep him around. But he is an RFA.
Yes, he is.
Sure, so that's hard. All right. Any more thoughts on the Senators and their moves this deadline?
Chef Steo, in the kitchen, whipping stuff up.
Cook. All right, let's move into another trade that happened later or earlier in the week involving the Lightning, the Kraken, and the Red Wings, where the Lightning acquired Oliver Bjorkstrand, Yanni Gourde, who are both retained, and then Kyle Aucoin, which is his NCAA signing rights, from the Seattle Kraken in exchange for Mikey Eissimont, a 2025 second, a 2026 first, and a 2027 first. So 2 first-round picks, a second-round pick, and Mikey Eissimont for a retained Bjorkstrand and Gourde in Detroit. The third team who's in on retaining on Gourde got a 4th-round pick.
My first thought is now the Seattle Kraken have a guy named Mikey and a guy named Matty. They're one step away from being a backyard baseball team.
Oh, that's right, they are. I love that
Though
reference.
Francis really did. He did so well on this deal.
He did. He did. He might have
And
saved his job with
don't like to
this.
sing the praises of Ron Francis.
I don't either. I said it earlier. I'm like, him, Sweeney, and Lamorello did really good, and they might have saved their jobs.
But
Seriously.
like 2 firsts for like, first of all, Bjorkstrand, I don't think he was going to resign.
Probably not. He is on. He does have a year left after
I don't think
this,
he was going to resign. I don't think he was a good fit in Seattle.
Yeah, he just didn't really work out when he was there.
Gourde, I know, like, we knew he didn't want to be there. He knew he was going to get traded somehow. Originally was fun, actually, Ottawa actually checked in on Gourde, and we got an hour before the trade went down, we had a report that Ottawa and Seattle were maybe close on a deal, and then Tampa just, like, swoops in like a hawk, swoops in like.
Yeah, they offered 2 first round.
And then after that, it's like, you gonna match that? Hell no.
And again, that trade happened before all the other ones, and that really set the market. Yeah. Like, it set the market for all the other trades that happened on deadline day and leading up to deadline day, and that's why a lot of first round picks were moved. So yeah, I think again, like, it's a really good trade for the Lightning. You needed depth. Like, you couldn't go into the playoffs with what you had. You needed a good third line players, and you get that in Gourde and Bjorkstrand. And as for Seattle, again, like, they aren't going to be very, very high first round picks. Still first.
They're still. Well, you look at the Brandon Hagel trade. Those picks were 19 and 20 respectively.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not out of the realm of a possibility that it is a relatively, like, a higher pick. It'll still be on the lower end, but it'll still be a higher pick than it could be.
Exactly. And the thing that I go with here is that Seattle gets assets. They can either use them or they can flip them.
I hope they use them.
And I'm going to say right now, Seattle, if these are first round picks. Listen to me. Go close to the camera. Draft a defenseman. What are we doing?
Yeah, they have absolutely no future defenseman in that pool. Like, they have Jagger Firkus, and I guess, like, Lucas Dragicevic. That's pretty much it, though. I think Firkus has actually been with the team. Oh, yeah, you're right. So they have, like, Dragicevic.
Like, I don't go to rant on the guy, but like last year you had the perfect opportunity to draft a defenseman.
There were so many D last year. That was your opportunity.
I get Berkeley Cadden is nasty. I love Berkeley Cadden though.
Yeah, he's good.
I get it because he's a local product, but still, please, it's a coming draft. I need you to do one thing, and that is
draft a defenseman. So, they have so many picks too in the next 3 years. They have 2 seconds over the next 3 years in 2 drafts.
Seattle did well for Tampa. This solidifies their bottom 6. And you said before this trade happened, they're waiving Cam Atkinson. This might be something. And I told you,
and then you were like, "Oh, Logan Brown."
Cut the bullshit.
Cut the bullshit, Logan Brown. But I was like, no. Called it. That's the one time I can say I called something. Is there any other trades that you want to talk about? Those were all the big ones.
Did we discuss? Well, what about Erik Johnson back to the Avs?
I thought that was very respectful by Philadelphia. I thought that was very respectful. And with what Erik Johnson said in his, like, message to say thank you to the Flyers, really made me happy. And he barely was there. He was there for, like, maybe, like, let me look up his stats. He did not play a lot. I'm telling you that right now. He was the 7th defenseman for a lot of his time here. He wasn't a consistent defender with us. Yeah, he played 22 games. I think I was actually there when he scored his 1 goal. That's funny. But, yeah, this is a guy who is going to be a good 7th D. He's a locker room guy. He's a very positive human being. He's a great person. I've met him. It's cool. It made me a very happy Flyers fan to see his comments and see, us showing respect by him and trading him. I thought that was very respectful.
Yeah, I figured he wanted to go out to Colorado because I know he's played there for so long. So,
yeah. I thought that was very
I'm
respectful.
going to ask you two questions now, real quick. Thoughts on Detroit's move of getting Peter Mrazek and Craig Smith from the Blackhawks for Joe Veleno?
Yeah, I thought that one was look, it was a little bit of a head scratcher for me at first. I get what they're trying to do. They wanted to bring in Mrazek, who was there previously, and then Craig Smith, who's going to be a good third line player. He was on the third line. Excuse me, I think on Monday against the Sens. And then Veleno, a bust. Wasn't really going to work out. He's a fourth liner at best. Still a little bit weird, though. Like, you have so many goaltenders. They finally called up Gage, by the way. I mentioned him like a couple episodes ago. Yeah. They finally called him up from the Royals. Thank God. Well, I mean, not thank God. I'm going to miss him, but cool. It was a little...
Describe the Pittsburgh Penguins deadline moves.
On the deadline?
No, like their trades in general. Like,
I'm gonna be honest, I thought they did a pretty good job. I mean, I thought they did okay. I mean, again, like, I want you to go and look up their draft capital, especially in the later rounds. Go and look up their second and third round pick capital right now, because they traded Beauvillier for a second, they traded Luke Schenn for a second and a fourth. They went out, they got Schenn, they flipped him. They also traded for Connor Timmins and Connor Dewar as well. Other assets to add there.
Their 2026 assets. They have they have 2 firsts this year, 1 second, 3 thirds. Their 2026 they have 1 first, 3 seconds, 2 thirds.
And that's just right now. They could sell next year and have
then
more.
In 27, first, 2 seconds, 3 thirds.
We've seen a lot of teams trade those seconds to move up in the draft for first, so I wouldn't be surprised if we get to that point.
Seconds being moved for impact players.
That as well. So again, like, I think they did pretty. I would have liked to see more. I would have liked to see them move on from other players, but I think in general, like, they did a pretty solid job.
I think the Luke Schenn trade was a really big slam dunk for them. We didn't talk about Winnipeg's moves actually.
We did not. We can get into that. We can segue through that. But, again, they also traded Cody Glass for Chase Stillman, who's a decent prospect.
They got Tommy Novak. I'm a huge Tommy Novak stan, as the kids say.
Yeah, so they got younger, more or less. They got new guys cycling in, like Dewar and Tomasino and Bemstrom and Novak as well. They got new guys who are cycling in with those old players, and they're also going to get. I think they're ranked 6th in the lottery odds right now, or 7th. I think Philly might have moved ahead of them. No, they're still ranked 6th. So, yeah. Overall, just, I think they did pretty good. All right, let's move on to Winnipeg. The Jets made 2 moves. They went out, they acquired Schenn for a second and a fourth, and they traded a second for Brandon Tanev. I'm going to say what I said to Carter on the Nordcast. I think that they did good, but they could have done better.
I'm going to say this right now. I know players don't want to go to Winnipeg, and I'm sorry that's just the honest truth. Not good enough. You had a chance to go all out, and you only got Luke Schenn and Brandon Tanev. They're not bad moves by any stretch of the imagination, but I was expecting something bigger.
See, I want to talk about Washington real quick. For the Capitals, I did not expect a lot from them. Mainly because I don't want to say this year's a fluke. You have a lot of guys that are playing at a higher level than they usually do. You don't want to mess up the chemistry. And you don't want to give up like an insane amount of assets. They gave up a second, and that's fine. For Anthony Beauvillier, I think that's fine. For Winnipeg, it's different. I don't think this year's a fluke because they have been a very consistent, really good team for a long time in the regular season. But in the playoffs, it just hasn't been there. The struggles with Hellebuck, the upsets in quotations in the first round, and overall, I think that I wanted to see more. I wanted to see more from the Jets. I agree with you. It just wasn't good enough, and I believe that for Winnipeg, they really need to hope that this year goes well. Otherwise, Kevin Cheveldayoff, his job might be on the line.
Yeah, but like we've heard this so many times, and like it's a hard job being the GM in Winnipeg, and I will say that again and again, I give Sheldayoff all the credit in the world for doing the job he's done.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I know there was a Brock Nelson trade to Winnipeg, but Nelson didn't want to go to Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it sucks when players don't want to go. It's hard to find players who don't have no trade clause, who don't really have a choice. Like,
it is.
Because nowadays players want to make sure, especially I think after this Mikko Rantanen situation, players are now going to think they're going to want more, at least we're going to see more modified no moves being handed out, I think.
I agree. I think that's likely going to be something we see with a lot of contracts. For sure. Continue.
But, yeah, like, I think Winnipeg has a bolstering prospect pool. They have good assets. You're telling me you couldn't, like, even, I know the market was weak and it's a seller's market, but I think you could have done better.
I said a lot of this. I've said a lot of this a lot on videos, but just fuck the future assets.
Yeah.
Like, if you're Winnipeg, who cares? This is your prime.
In the words of Jarmo Kekalainen, fuck them picks.
This is your best opportunity to go and win a Stanley Cup.
I'm going to say this, look at Dallas. Look at Edmonton. Those are two teams who, personally, I think, have a better chance to win the Cup than you do, or come out of the West than the Winnipeg Jets do.
Now that's the other thing, LeBlanc. Look at that division. Look at that conference. That whole conference got better. A lot better.
Dallas just added a top 20 player.
Yeah, Dallas went out and got Rantanen. Colorado went out and got Brock Nelson. The Oilers went out and got Jake Walman, which really upgrades their blue line. He looked like an incredible fit there.
Don't forget Trent Frederick.
And Trent Frederick as well. The Jets got a third pairing defenseman.
And
going to be good.
Liner. On that team, Tanev will be a fourth liner.
Probably. Maybe a third
liner.
But, which again, I'm not saying that those ads are bad. You needed to make those ads. They were good. But I wanted more. You see all the other teams in that conference getting a lot better. They're lucky they're going to get Calgary or Vancouver in the first round. Two teams who have been very inconsistent.
Low key. If they get Calgary, Wolf might steal it.
All right, I'm not gonna speak that into existence. I think it can happen. All right, I know you will because you love to go extreme here. But I'm not ready to go down that road just yet, just because I don't know who's going to really even make the playoffs.
We'll say that for the playoff predictions.
Yeah, in a couple of weeks, which is coming, by the way. Like
we're 5 weeks out.
Yeah, basically a month away. I'm so excited. Seriously, I've been locked for the playoffs. I am locked for the draft. If we're being blunt, I am so ready for the draft.
I can't wait for the playoffs. I can't wait for my playoff pool to come back up. I can't wait for
your team might make it.
My team might make it the first day. Which honestly, usually, I tell the playoffs, oh good, I get no stress and just sit back and relax. Now I'd be like, oh my god.
Yeah, exactly.
All the stuff I say, Max, it's kind of I'm having a great time. I don't know what you're doing.
Was there anything else you wanted to talk about in terms of the trade deadline?
I'm trying to think of another move, but I think I know we didn't cover them all, but
no, we definitely didn't. We can't cover them all. There's just so many that are just minor.
I think LA may have lost the deadline.
We can go into that. Let's go into winners and losers. So let's start off. We'll go one winner each. And then we'll go loser each, and then we'll just bring up teams to discuss. So you go first with a winner. Yeah, Ottawa, I think, won the deadline. Getting Cousins and Zetterlund was huge. Not giving up a lot either. I think that they did really good.
So, yeah, so did I could just sing the praises of Chef Staios, but
a winner for me, Dallas. Gotta just get that out of the way. I think they were a real winner. They got Rantanen. They went out and got Granlund and Ceci way prior. I don't even know if that really counts because that happened a month and a half ago. So, what about loser?
I'm gonna say what I meant. The LA Kings. I feel like you needed to do more.
Yeah, they have a decent prospect pool there with some young guys that you could use to flip for other assets. and they did almost nothing. They gave up a third-round pick in 2027, and that's about it for Andre Kuzmenko.
Who can score, just not this year. Did he score in Philly? Did he have any goals in Philly?
Yeah, he actually was pretty decent. He had like 5 points in 7 games. He was decent in Philadelphia. I think that's why they flipped him right away for a third, which is pretty good management. If I'm gonna be, it makes the Farabee Frost deal look bad though. But I digress. Yeah, I think I wonder like if there's something there, like maybe ownership is like saying no, you can't move these picks.
Right. I don't even know who owns the LA Kings. I think they're owned by a company.
They probably are. I feel like you should know that because your brother's.
But do you be honest? Do you know every owner?
No, I don't know every owner. I know my team's owners, but I don't know every owner. I know all the big ones, just not LA. But yeah, I agree. I wonder if there's something there with that. We'll have to see though. With the LA.
Yeah,
Kings.
they're owned by an entertainment group.
Okay, that's what I figured. Like Philly's owned by Comcast. A loser for me. We didn't talk about them, but Vancouver was a little bit of a loser for me.
And we didn't talk about this. We should have talked about it earlier, but Patrick Allvin. I don't like to call people out here, but what? We're not kidding. Yes, I do. But
yes, you do. You do it all the time on the show.
I couldn't believe the odds was getting for Besser. How high of your price was it, Brett? It was Bo Billion got a second. Like, come on.
Apparently, he also said too, like if I told you guys what I was being offered, I would have to leave. I would have to run away because you wouldn't believe me. Who says that?
Like, why would you just put that out there? Like, why would you?
That's just not a good look. Saying that Besser's not. He basically said Besser's not good. Like, it's not a good. If I'm Besser,
I'm out of there. He's gone. Like, there's no. I can't see.
I'll be shocked.
Back to Vancouver, and I'm not gonna lie. If you're Vancouver. You should have honestly. You should have signed him because the way that locker room is, the way the media is portraying what it is right now, it's not a good look.
100%. I think everything in Vancouver has just been an absolute disaster this season. The Pettersson versus Miller stuff. There is clearly still a locker room beef. Pettersson might get traded in the offseason. Besser might walk in the offseason.
You know that the Prince of Bel-Air meme where like the guy like he's just in the house by himself. Yeah, like it's gonna be Quinn Hughes.
I think Quinn Hughes should get traded too. How is all this happening while he's the captain?
I think I said that earlier on another episode where how you can't control your own. And you even said in the media, yeah, there's beef.
Yeah, like I can't believe a captain would say that. Like a great player, a great player, probably the best
leader. Great players aren't always the greatest leaders.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's from what we've seen.
And I'm gonna say this: the downfall needs to be studied.
It does. It does need to be studied. Rick Tocchet went from winning a Jack Adams like literally less than 12 months ago
to being a babysitter at a daycare. Like
he might be. He might get fired. Like, he might lose his job.
If they fire, I think fire Tocchet, that might be the dumbest thing they've done in a long time, I'm not going to lie.
It might happen, too. That's the craziest thing. Because it really isn't. I mean, it kind of is on him on a level to, fix the things that are going on in there. But I do agree, like, it's not even really his fault in a way. But that might even happen there, too.
A lot of the minor moves I don't really want to get into because they're just minor moves.
Yeah. What about
the other ones we already talked about? We already talked about the Seth Jones acquisition, so I think that's all I got.
Yeah. We'll wrap up with this. Aaron Ekblad was suspended for 20 games due to violating the terms of the NHL/NHLPA performance-enhancing substances program. Apparently, he used something to take an injury or used to speed up an injury. Without checking with the medical team and team personnel. He admitted that he regrets it. I thought it was something with like he was using steroids or something. That was the first thought that came to my mind, and I'm like, oh, that's not going to work well. Player gets suspended
for PEDs. It's usually because they took something that they didn't know had performance enhancing substances in it.
Yeah, that's usually what it is. But my instant thought was that he took steroids, and then like, oh god, he took steroids in the Cup finals.
Can you believe this? Ottawa is now losing a first-round pick for it.
I actually can't believe that's a thing.
And if I speak on it,
I wish we had a podcast when that happened, because you would have went on here and lost.
I would have lost my marbles. Like I would.
Oh, that would have been the episode of the year.
PDs, 20 games. PDs, 20 games. Gambling, 41.
Oh, sexual assault, $2 million fine. Cap constrictions, $2 million fine.
Picks.
A contract talk going wrong. First round pick. Get out of here.
I've been over this multiple times. I'm not going to get over it again. We're just going to end the episode.
All right. Well, that's it for the Northern Block Podcast trade deadline review. LeBlanc, any final thoughts? Actually, no, you don't get any, because you just said that you want the episode to be over. We'll be back on probably Monday or Tuesday. We'll have to see when we can record. But yeah, we'll be back then. We'll do a tier list. We'll do our cup stuff, because again, we'll be closer to the playoffs. Pretty soon, we're going to start talking about teams that have clinched and have been eliminated from the playoffs.
And we're not going to be just.
No.
And we're going to be fair to the teams who are bad too. We might have a mock draft upcoming too when we get closer to the end of the year.
Indeed. All right, that's your final thought. All right, that'll do it for the NBP. Thanks for watching. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter and YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Let me flip this script. I feel privileged for all who can witness this. I am close to divine. Know the moment is mine, need an omen or sign. Providing a back sound to all the squares that ask around. Be getting it, my skills pay me. Trying to get a million, baby, with an adopted flow that God gave me. Tell whoever runners that they spot is temporary till I take it, it's mine. I'm selfish. Your will. Tell Miss I'm on my wealth tip. So when we cash out soon, I'm just investing. Hey, no yes men. I've been a legend since before mom and dad had me and was best friends. I chew through comp, don't test them. I chew on tracks, cause after that I bless them. I just do what I do. You see me? I just do what I do.